That's why I say you're a blockhead, Lowry. How could you let such a thing happen? The man was innocent. What do you think the press are going to say about all this? Now get out of here! Get the hell out of my sight! And if I have any more trouble with you, you'll be dishing out parking tickets before long. And that's a promise, Lowry! Oh, and here's my good friend Halligan. Another one of the invaluable detectives of our glorious murder squad. Don't just stand there gaping. Come in. I'm glad you could make it. After all, you're a busy man, aren't you? Now look here, Detective Halligan. I've got used to being surrounded by a bunch of incompetent, half-baked blockheads. But your smart, well-dressed colleague Lowry has just earned himself the golden badge of stupidity. Halligan, we've got a bit of a problem. We've had an innocent man locked up in jail. Regrettably, he was killed in prison before we could correct our mistake. Unfortunate affair. And now we've got this lunatic killer running around all over London. We have to make sure that at least this oversight is put right. Your clear-up rate so far ought to be sufficient evidence that there's no point in asking you to clear up anything more than a common bicycle theft. But this does happen to be the murder squad. I am the chief of this department. All I have for choice is that blockhead Lowry and you.
Okay, Chief. What do you want me to do? What mad assassin are you referring to?
Halligan. It's well known that you'd rather read those crazy books of yours during office hours than taking any real interest in the affairs of this department. But it would now appear that you've even stopped reading the newspapers as well. For months now, a killer's been running around in London, taking victims apart and leaving nothing but bones for us to find. You can read about it in any newspaper.
You mean the business out at the Silent Inn? That was over a year ago.
There were 2 more murders later, Halligan. 3, actually.
Oh yes, there was the case by the Thames, and the business with the bones found in the north of the city.
Exactly. Lowry's suspect was seen at 2 of the 3 crime scenes. That wouldn't usually be sufficient for a summons to the police station, but Lowry and Stryker twisted the thing so badly that the poor man actually lost in court. And now he's dead. He was stabbed in prison.
Then the case seems to be closed, doesn't it?
You see, that's exactly what I wouldn't say. I got a phone call this morning. Guess what's happened?
There's been another murder.
Exactly, Halligan. A pile of bones has been found in Epping Forest. Supposedly a male corpse. We don't know any more than that. I presume we both agree that it can't have been Lowry's man, eh?
Oh, of course.
You see, I've just managed to get that into Lowry's head as well. You heard it? Lowry's off the case. Halligan, you drive out to Epping Forest and take a look at the evidence.
Of course, sir.
And Halligan, no sloppiness now. I want results. Sensible results. The press has already been terrorising me this morning. The killer must be found. Do I make myself clear?
Of course, Chief.
Good. This is the file with all the necessary information, and now you better get going quickly.
Hello, Chris.
Hi, Halligan.
There's work for you.
There's always work for me, Halligan. And right now, I've got enough work not to be disturbed again and again.
Have you heard of the new skeleton murder?
Not only heard, I've already been out to where the body was found, together with the forensic squad.
And? What did you find out?
Not a lot. The killer did a neat job. No traces, no witnesses. This madman doesn't seem to be so stupid at all.
You mean it's just one person doing this?
Well, hard to say. But I believe so. Look at it this way. Might there be more than one? Could several people go that mad at the same time?
Well, it wouldn't be the first time that loads of madmen go crazy at the same time.
And commit crimes like this with such perseverance? For months? Without being found out? I think that's very unlikely.
Is the terrain still secured?
Yes, we left an officer there. For the onlookers. I hope there won't be such a crowd of people in the forest this time. People are just like vultures when there's something to be seen.
Who might do something like that? What do you think?
No idea. It's your job to find that out, isn't it?
I'll just drive out there and have a look at it.
Just you do that, Brent.
Okay, Chris. See you later on. Scotland Yard, my employer. Hello, Lowry.
Oh, no, not you, Halligan. You're all I need at the moment.
It's just not your day, is it?
All the better for you, Halligan, of course. Your last good day in this department must have been a few months ago. By the way, congratulations on your new case. I can't believe the chief has put a loser like you on it.
You're right, Larry. My last good day was quite some time ago. It was the day you went on holiday, and I didn't have to stand looking at your face.
Hey, Detective Halligan. You see this as an opportunity, don't you? You think you're going to make it big in this department, don't you? Become the chief's favourite detective? I'll tell you something, Halligan. You won't get there. You're a loser and you'll stay one. The chief knows that as well as I do. You'll need to come to terms with that.
No, Larry. I believe that the chief's opinion has greatly altered today. You should have heard him at the briefing. I'm afraid you're the loser.
As you say, Halligan. Optimistic as ever, aren't we?
Never mind, Lowry. I need your last results, and I need any available data.
Our last results are lying in the graveyard. The man was guilty, we proved it, and he was killed. End of story.
Is that what you told his widow and children?
No way. Stryker was the one who dealt with that sort of thing. I'm not into spiritual welfare.
You're not into it. I can understand that.
Well, I just don't go for all that sentimental crap.
Of course, Lowry. I'm really sorry for you.
Hey, same here, Halligan.
Did you never doubt for a second whether you had the right man or not?
Doubt is the virtue of losers. Didn't someone like Shakespeare write that, or was it Plato? Doesn't matter.
Okay. I'll talk to you later, Lowry. Hello, Janet.
Hello, Brent.
Nice day today, isn't it?
Don't trouble yourself, Brent. I will not go to the cinema with you.
Hold on. How did you know that I was going to ask you that, Janet?
Because you asked me the same thing yesterday. And the day before yesterday. Look, I'm not changing my mind. No, thank you. And just keep that in mind in the future. And then we'll finish our conversation much faster tomorrow.
Janet, what's up? Has Lowry been talking nonsense about me again?
No, Halligan, and he doesn't need to either. You talk enough of it yourself. And now, please be good enough to let me carry on with my job, okay?
I understand. Lowry has been talking about me, and you believe every word he said.
I believe only what I see, Detective Halligan. And right now, I can see a man right in front of my desk who is wasting my time.
Good. See you later, then.
Take your time, Brent.
Al's Pizza Palace makes the best pizza in the whole of London. Unfortunately, there's no pizza in there anymore. That's a bottle of naturally cloudy apple juice. Half empty. Is there anything worse than thirst? I'll take it with me. Detective Browning left this here once. An ugly thing. I'll take it with me. Maybe I'll give it back to Miss Browning today. My greatest enemy. I'm determined to give up smoking. Leave those alone. A roll of plastic bags. Indispensable for professional police work. Nope, no darts now. Maybe I'll play later. Against my favorite opponent, Inspector Miller. My good old leather gloves. The best-selling headache pills worldwide. Suppose that's mainly because of me. I've already taken one this morning. My spare coat. Detective rule number 1. In London, you need 2 coats. Wear one while the other one is dry. That one is wet. Anyway, I'm already wearing a coat. God save the Queen. Even if she's wearing a really ugly green suit. Good morning, officer.
Good morning, Detective. I hope you've had a good breakfast. The sight over there is not very appetizing.
Oh, well, you know, I've got used to it. When were the bones discovered?
At 5:30 a.m. by a jogger. He phoned us.
A jogger? Has he been interviewed?
Well, he's in hospital for the time being. The shock, you know. We could hardly even take down his particulars.
Why was that?
He had to throw up several times, sir.
Oh, I understand. Could he have left the bones here?
It's not impossible, but I don't really believe it. He's a tourist and only arrived in London last night. I suppose he came here by accident.
He's a tourist? Since when do tourists jog at 5:30 in the morning? Is he on a fitness trip?
Sir, he told us he was a decathlete. It's his job.
Okay, officer, that was it. Thank you.
Any time, sir.
There's hardly any flesh on the bone. Unbelievable. This bone is quite long. Seems it's from the victim's leg. I should take the bone with me, but you don't transport a piece of evidence in your coat pocket. That might falsify traces. Strange. The grass next to the bones is black. I need to have the grass examined. A roll of plastic bags to secure evidence. I've just come back from the place where they found the bones in Epping Forest.
And? Trailblazing new findings?
I've got something here I'd like you to have a look at.
Show me.
Here you go, Chris. Have a look at this.
A bone. Very likely the right thigh bone. Why are you bringing it here? I had a look at the bones with the forensic squad this morning.
I know, but I've still got a couple of questions about them.
Well, go ahead then.
Did somebody maybe scorch the flesh off the bone?
No, definitely not. That would look different. I suspect that it was rather cut off, or maybe taken off with acid.
Can you see any abnormalities?
I would have noticed them, Halligan. No fractures, no bruises. Everything quite normal.
What sex was the victim?
Judging by the structure of the bones, I think it was male. I'll write that down in my report as well, but I'll tell you right now that you won't get it before the end of the week, Halligan.
You can't tell me more than that about the bones? Chris, that doesn't help me.
There's really no more to say about the bones, Halligan. Just wait for my report. You'll have it all nicely written down then. Or, hang on a moment. If you're really interested, go and see Professor Turner. He was the supervisor of a friend's PhD thesis. That's how I met him. He works in an anthropological museum in Oxford. If anybody can say anything about the bones, he can.
Okay, thanks for the advice.
Don't mention it, Brent.
Chris, I've got something else for you. Could you have a quick look at that too?
The weed. Also from the place where the bones were found, I suppose.
Exactly.
Okay, Brent. And what do you want to know about it?
Have you seen something like this before?
You mean, have I seen grass before? Are you trying to pull my leg?
Just smell it.
Smells slightly burnt.
The bones were lying on this grass.
Oh, maybe somebody made a fire on the grass before the bones were lying there. That's not very unusual in parks.
It's forbidden to light fires in Epping Forest.
Forbidden? Halligan, be realistic. Who cares about that? If people want to light a fire, they'll do it.
That was no fireplace, Chris. The grass was burnt under the bones and just there.
Well then, maybe the bones got hot.
Can bones get that hot in the sun?
Well, I don't think this is very likely in autumn. But right now, I can't say much more about that either.
Okay, Chris. See you later on. Locked. Closed due to renovation works. Great. And now? Hey, a phone box. And I don't need a phone card. Let's see if the phone number of the museum is listed in here. Museum, okay. Museum of African Studies, Museum of Ancient History. Here, Anthropological Museum. And the extension of Professor Turner? It's here. I've got it. I can't hear any dialing tone. It won't work without money. You have to put at least 30 pence in. Hello, my friend.
Huh?
What are you doing here?
Are you blind? I'm having a drink.
Why do you drink so much?
Because I'm thirsty. Very thirsty.
Do you still like the taste?
Course I like it. Dum-dum.
It smells pretty strong, if I may say so. How do you manage to drink that?
I drink everything, mate. From schnapps to aftershave. Most important thing is that it makes you happy.
You don't look too happy, though. Can I have a drop?
Get your own bottle, mate. And get me one as well. My bottle's empty.
There's money in your hat there. Isn't that enough for a bottle of gut rot?
Ah, no. Those pennies wouldn't feed a parking meter.
Why has the museum been closed?
Well, it's been refurbished. At the moment, my business is running really badly.
How much did you, make today?
Well, just a poxy 60 pence.
You're right. You won't get far on that. Have you seen anybody going into the museum?
Yeah. Just this morning, a woman. A young, pretty one.
A woman? You haven't seen a man?
Nah. Only a woman. She comes here every day. Now and again, she gives me a few pennies. I think she works in the museum.
Ah, a woman then.
So what? What's special about that? There are millions of women running about in this world.
Okay, I must be off now.
Well then, okay.
The beggar's flask. Absolutely empty.
Well, Halligan, how'd you get on at the museum? What did Professor Turner say? Could he help you?
The museum is closed. It's being refurbished.
Oh, well, that's bad luck. Why don't you phone him?
It's all right for you. My phone doesn't work properly anymore.
Why don't you go to a phone booth?
I don't have any change to phone.
Well, now you've got a problem. Lost it all gambling again, did you? Hey, that reminds me. You still owe me £30, Halligan. You haven't got it on you by any chance?
No, Chris.
Maybe you'll remember it someday.
Could I use your phone?
I'm not so keen on that, Halligan. I'm always in trouble with the accounts department. You know what I mean. Why don't you ask Lowry?
Lowry? You must be joking, Chris. You know how badly we get on, don't you?
Especially since this morning, right?
Exactly.
Sorry, Halligan, but I'm convinced you'll solve this problem.
Okay, Chris. See you later on. A bottle with some sort of chemical. The bottle is full of dust and fingerprints. Too dangerous to carry the bottle around with me. I don't even know what kind of stuff that is. The green scarf. It's Janet's. A bottle with some sort of chemical. The bottle is clean now.
Well, what did...
Something I wanted to ask you, Chris. What do those flasks contain?
Oh, you mean those on the shelves? They contain all sorts of different chemicals I need for my work. Indicator solutions, alcohol, things like that.
What exactly are indicator solutions?
Solutions for determining particular chemicals. The solution changes its colour if the substance you're looking for is present.
Why do you need alcohol for your work?
Certainly not in order to drink it, Halligan. We use alcohols as solvents. Most types are poisonous anyway.
You've got a great job, Chris. Masses of alcohol and everything legal.
Nonsense, Halligan. Do you think we spend all day getting drunk with medical alcohol? Why don't you just try the stuff?
What will happen to me then?
You'll see. Well, how about it? Are you scared?
Sure, no problem.
Here, Brent, to your health. What's up? Go ahead, try it. You won't get one of these so often.
All right, here we go. Cheers.
To your health, Brent.
An interesting aroma, isn't it?
Brent, aren't you feeling very well? Brent, are you sure you're okay?
God damn it. You could knock someone out cold with this kind of stuff, Chris. Chris? Fingerprint powder. Look what we've got here. This is the bottle Chris took. A bottle of apple juice. Now the flask is full, with ethanol and apple juice. I've got something for you. Apple schnapps from Detective Halligan's home distillery. My own brand. Would you like to have a taste?
You serious? All right, pal. I'm as dry as the bottom of a parrot's cage.
Why don't you drink it all? I don't mind. And it's a cracker, I can tell you.
Cheers, mister.
Cheers. There are a couple of pounds here in small change.
Hello?
Hello, who's that?
Who am I speaking to?
This is Detective Halligan from Scotland Yard.
Scotland Yard? What can I do for you?
I need to speak to Professor Turner. Doesn't he work at the museum?
Yes, but he's away on business.
But I really need to speak to him urgently.
Professor Turner will not be available while he's on his expedition. I'm afraid you'll have to wait.
Where has he gone to?
Kenya. It's a long expedition.
I suppose that's it then.
It looks like it. I'm sorry.
Look, miss... what was your name?
Goodbye, Mr. Halligan.
She's hung up.
Well, Brent, still got a headache?
Don't ask, Chris.
Have you managed to contact Professor Turner?
Yeah, I phoned him, but he wasn't in.
Not in?
He's on an expedition. I just talked to some woman who works there.
With his extension number?
Yes, exactly.
Well, Halligan, that was probably his daughter Melanie. She works in the museum as well. My friend told me a lot about her. He used to be really keen on her.
So, Professor Turner has a daughter. Thanks, Chris. I think that'll help me.
Hello?
Hello, this is Halligan again. Please don't hang up, Miss Turner.
How do you know my name, Mr. Halligan?
Chris Hecker told me that Professor Turner's your father.
Yes, that's true.
What do you do at the museum?
I'm an anthropologist.
The same as your father.
Yes?
Miss Turner, do you think you could help me?
That depends. What's the trouble?
I found a bone that I've had examined at the lab.
A bone? A human bone?
Yes, of course. It belonged to a murder victim.
Murder? How awful.
The bone is from the body of one of the victims of the skeleton murders. I take it you've read about them?
Oh, good heavens, yes. What can I do for you?
Couldn't we discuss that inside?
Certainly. Come on over. I'll let you in.
Mr. Halligan?
Yes, that's right. Hello, Miss Turner. Nice to meet you. Thank you for taking the time.
No problem. We're closed anyway. The museum is being refurbished.
It's not easy to get in touch with you. I was close to giving up.
Oh, you mean because of the phone call? I'm really sorry. I do sometimes tend to be rather short on the phone. You know, I get unpleasant calls sometimes, and that's why I'm a bit suspicious.
I see. Well, I finally got in touch with you.
Would you like to come in? Would you like a cup of coffee or anything else?
No, thanks.
Mr. Halligan, how may I help you?
As I said, I'm working on the skeleton murders. We found another victim in Epping Forest. All the evidence points to the same culprit as in the other cases. The corpse was completely skeletonized. Professional work.
That's horrible. But how can I help you?
My colleague Chris Hecker of the forensic lab has already had a look at the bones. He thought that your father could perhaps carry out some additional tests. He is a renowned expert, after all.
Yes, he could do that. But as I said, my father isn't here.
I know, but it is very urgent. Perhaps you could have a look?
You say you've got some of the bones with you?
Yes, just one. Here.
This is a femur.
Yes, that's what Chris Hecker said as well.
It will take some time, Mr. Halligan. Could you wait a moment?
I would like to ask you some questions about your work, just out of interest. What are all these strange things here in your lab?
They're things my father and I have brought back from various expeditions. They have to be catalogued, will then become part of the permanent exhibition of our museum. Some things are personal presents. We keep those, of course.
You see quite a lot of the world, don't you?
Yes, that's part of my job.
What's your father's current research project?
He's in Kenya studying initiation rituals.
What?
The rituals carried out when the childhoods of boys and girls end and they're admitted to the circle of adults.
How long have you been working here?
Several years. My father helped me to get the job here at the museum.
Connections are indispensable nowadays, aren't they?
I was the most qualified applicant. But it's not easy to gain acceptance with the old boys of the museum's board when you're a woman. You have to be at least twice as good as the best male applicant.
And you were?
Of course I was. It's been decided that I'll be the head of the museum as soon as my father retires.
When will that be?
In 5 years?
Then you will have achieved a lot for someone your age.
How old do you think I am?
I'd say 29.
Exactly.
What's your research field?
I specialize in sacrificial rites.
Sacrificial rites? That's an unusual research field for a young woman.
Do you think so? I don't think you should divide preferred science fields for men or women, Mr. Halligan.
No, I didn't mean it like that. I just think that you must have to do with death all the time if you research sacrifices.
Death is part of our existence, Mr. Halligan. In all cultures, all around the world.
You're telling me. If you take it like that, we are almost like colleagues.
Maybe. But it's not my job to put people in jail. I document the sacrificial rites of different cultures in order to help create a better mutual understanding.
What is there to be understood about murder?
I'm not saying that I approve of everything I research, Mr. Halligan. But in foreign cultures, not all sacrificial rites are regarded as murder. Most cultures sacrifice animals or plants, and they do so for religious reasons. Human sacrifices don't exist anywhere in the world at present. They're a thing of the past.
That was very interesting. Thank you, Miss Turner.
Not at all. I like talking about it. I'm often alone here with my work. It feels good to be able to chat. But now I'll have a look at that bone you brought.
Good.
Forbidden archaeologies. My favourite. Excellent research. Very mysterious. The sickle's from England. It could be a Celtic artefact, but we haven't been able to date it yet. That's interesting. The notches in the bone were made by a sharp instrument. The sickle matches the notches to a T. A slice of the femur. It's wafer thin. You can almost see through it. I can't see it properly. There's some metal residue here. It's gold. Hey, didn't this edition mention something in connection with sacrificial rites in Britain? Let's see. Yes, here it is. An article about the Druids and their sacrificial rites. The latest findings indicate that in ancient England it was probable for the most... for their high ceremonies, the Celts usually preferred to use... incredible. It all fits in with this bone. I'm sure the detective will be very interested. Mr. Halligan? I believe I've found something interesting about your bone.
Go ahead.
In my opinion, this bone was worked on...
With a sickle?
Yes, and probably with a sickle made of gold.
What makes you think that?
The bone bears notches matching the cutting form of a sickle to a T. And I found a trace of gold in one of the notches.
A golden sickle? Who would use a weapon like that in order to cut a human being to pieces?
That's what I asked myself as well. I found an interesting article which could help us. According to the historian Arthur Blake, the Britannic Druids carried out very bloody sacrificial rites. He found out that such rites took place at major celebrations of the Celts. He assumes that consecrated golden sickles were used for those rites.
And how does he know about these things?
He learned about it from old inscriptions he's translating at the moment. Interesting, huh?
Celts, Druids. Quite some time has passed since then, hasn't it?
Of course, but the descriptions in the article absolutely match the findings on your bone, Mr. Halligan. I'm sure the author of the article can help you.
What do you think? Could this Blake be right?
I don't know. Maybe he just wants to make money with horror stories about ancient Britain. But the bone you've shown me would match his theory quite well.
Have you ever seen anything similar in your career?
Oh, Mr. Halligan, you don't know the Aztec skull walls. If you'd seen those, you'd consider your bone harmless.
Maybe, but that was centuries ago. The victim of this murder was found this morning, and it was found in London. So you think this murder could be a ritual murder?
Yes, it would be possible. There are several occult sects and Satanists. They like checking their history books and adopting archaic rituals.
What did you say this author's name was?
Blake. Arthur Blake.
Was there any mention in the article of how you could get in touch with the man?
I thought you'd ask that. His address was printed below the article. 366 Pinewood Road, Northampton.
I'm going there now.
Mr. Halligan, I'm interested in this, particularly because of my job. I'd like to help you with your case. Would you take me with you?
Impossible. It's confidential police work. I have to see him on my own. I'm sorry.
I'm sure my knowledge would be to your advantage, Mr. Halligan. And I think it would be really interesting to work on a case like that.
Oh, when I think about it, perhaps that's not a bad idea at all. Perhaps there will be more examinations to be done. Okay, Miss Turner, let's do it like this. I'll keep you informed on the case. If I hear anything new or if I need your help, I'll contact you. What do you think?
All right. I'll see you later then.
Yeah, see you later. And thank you, Miss Turner.